What's up, YouTube? We're back at it with a brand new, original, cool episode. We got our boy Victor in the house. He back.
Yes, sir.
He back. And we got a brand new special guest today.
Brandon new.
Mr. Brandon. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. Glad
Hell
to be
yeah.
here.
Yeah, this is awesome. We got a new guest. I'm really excited. I love new guests all the time. I really do. This is pretty cool. This is gonna be
pretty cool.
This is gonna be an experience, man. I'm gonna learn some stuff. People are gonna learn some stuff. Victor's probably gonna learn some stuff. Victor knows quite a bit of stuff.
I'm always down to learn.
Hell yeah. So you're a part of the you're part of the Masons in the place in the Alexander County.
Yes, I became an entered apprentice of the Lee Lodge number 253 in Taylorsville back in 2012. I actually sought to join. One of the main reasons I had sought to join was because of conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
And I had watched videos of, I forget the guy's name, but he had came out as a former Mason, and he was a Shriner. He was 32nd degree Scottish Rite. I'll explain what that is later. And he was in this other body of Masonry that's not accepted by the ancient free and accepted Masons, which is what I'm part of, and it's called Memphis and Mizraim. I think they go up past 90 degrees. It's something strange, like Egyptian rites. But I had watched his videos, and he had told all this information about these 3 rituals that goes on in the Blue Lodge, which is what I'm part of. And you don't know what you read online if it's true or not, so you either are like, yeah, I agree with this, or I don't. And you don't actually know until you're in it what is the
Until you get in there
truth.
and actually find out.
Yeah, because you don't know what's
for yourself.
information and what's misinformation. You can believe what you want to, but the facts are present when you're there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like a drug experience. If you've never had one and someone tells you, hey, try cannabis or try psilocybin, and someone who's never had it, they can read about it all they want to, but until you've had the experience, you don't know.
Yeah.
Same thing with intercourse or any other experience, playing football. You don't know what it's like until you've actually done it yourself. You can read all you want.
What got me on that bit though is there's more than 33.
For the Memphis and Mizraim, so the lodge down here in town, it has 3 degrees. You have the entered apprentice degree, the fellowcraft degree, and the master mason's degree. Now, essentially, once you're a master mason, you can join other Masonic bodies. They're called appendant bodies. They're not. They're kind of connected to the Blue Lodge, but essentially the highest degree, arguably, is the 3rd degree. We're told this thing in Masonry that we're all on the square, or on the level. We're all on the level, and that means nobody is better than anybody else. Nobody is superior to anybody else. Now, we play these social roles in the lodge. Like whenever you get in there, let's say you wanted to join. There's this theory that goes around that you cannot join unless you're invited in. That's absolutely 100% not true. I'll tell you how not true that is. We're not allowed to go around and invite people to join.
Recruit. Not allowed to recruit.
Yeah, we're not allowed to recruit. People have to come to us to ask.
Okay.
So to clear this up, this isn't the Masons with the bricks and shit.
Right. That's
Okay.
That's an allegory.
This is the Freemasons.
Yes.
Is that okay. Is that what you'd call yourself?
Yeah,
a Freemason.
Freemasonry. So the Masonic aspect of laying down blocks with mortar and stuff like that, that's all an allegory. We use those to teach lessons in the lodge. Essentially, Freemasonry is kind of like a school. You go there to learn about how to be a better person.
Yeah.
How to carry yourself through society to make society better, would you say?
You have cardinal virtues that each degree has. That's why I brought my Bonson manual. Each degree has working tools in it, and
whenever you say degrees, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by degrees?
Well, a degree, I guess.
Levels of knowledge that you are maybe allowed to be exposed to.
Yeah, you're exposed to different things during different rituals. I mean, okay, again, let me start from the beginning. Let's say you wanted to join and you asked me, hey, can I get a petition? So then I get you petition. And now I don't have to. I have to judge you by your character, because if I feel like that you wouldn't be good for the craft, like you stay in trouble all the time, or you're just like a menace to the
society.
Yeah,
I couldn't do it. I could. I'm just kidding.
I wouldn't recommend you to my brothers, because I'm in a covenant with them. Essentially, I have oath to be bonded to them through this brotherhood. It's a fraternity, and they trust me, and I wouldn't want to recommend like a wolf into the
It's kind of like suggesting,
fold.
like putting somebody onto a job or something. Like, this person would do a good job.
Yeah,
and
precisely.
then they go in there and they mess it up, and maybe like they painting, they drop a bunch of paint on the ground.
Yeah, you don't want that.
And they collect the money and they bounce. Yeah, so that would leave you with a bad rep.
Yeah, or they show up to work and they're tweaking, or
we can't have
just no call, no show. Yeah, you don't want to recommend people that you don't feel like are going to be good for the craft.
Most definitely. That definitely makes sense.
So once you, let's say I allegedly or hypothetically, I get you a petition and then you fill it out. You have to pay a background fee to do a background check, and you have to pay 1 year's worth of dues, because every year I pay dues to the lodge. That goes to help paying the bills. Excuse me. And if we check your background out and we see, well, this guy's been convicted of X, Y, and Z, and we don't feel like that would be appropriate for him to be at the lodge, and this just happened last year, so he may still be in trouble, you will get your dues money back, but for the background check, that's already been paid for. You will not get the background check.
Which is probably third party.
So also after the petition's been read up at the lodge, we have to lay it aside for like, I think it's 28 days. It's around the lunar cycle. And after we lay it up, we discuss, and we appoint 3 people in the lodge that did not sign the petition. You have to have 2 Masons sign your petition. They're supposed to know you for over 2 years or more. Sometimes one will know you for more than 2 years and get someone else they trust to sign it off. But I mean, anyways, if we get 3 people to meet up with you, to check you out, to ask you questions, to see if you would be a good fit for the lodge. And if they come back and they give a satisfactory report to the master of the lodge, then it'll eventually go down to a vote. So then we vote in the lodge. And we vote with white balls and black cubes. If one person, and it's anonymous, you don't know who puts in white balls or black cubes. If one person puts in a black cube, it's a no-go. Like, you're not welcome in. But they do allow a revote. They have discussion and they allow a revote.
Unanimous.
Wow.
Yeah, it's got to be unanimous. So then after you get voted in, we're like, okay, this person, we need to tell them when they can come to the lodge. So your first time at a lodge while it's at work, in North Carolina, I can't speak for other states, you are being initiated into the craft through a ritual. So, yes, and the ritual was designed to test your courage. And then after that, after you go through the ritual...
What does the ritual consist of?
Well, that's where I don't feel comfortable explaining.
Oh gosh.
Which is, it's understandable, but it did
it's nothing dangerous.
It requires courage.
Well, is it like a secret ritual? Would you consider it a secret ritual?
Nobody's supposed to be there except for the person being initiated and other brothers who are of that degree or higher.
Other brothers.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So you're filled full in a room, deprived of certain senses. You know, you have 5 senses.
Okay.
You're deprived of certain senses to where you're more unaware of what's going on. Basically, you're led into the unknown. You have no idea what's going to go on behind those doors because they're closed and they're shut off to the world. So you're going in and, it's all voluntary. You don't have to be there.
So trust as well. Are they testing your trust? Because like now you...
Oh, it's if you don't have trust going in.
You're kind of walking into something to be part of the brotherhood, but is that okay? First of all, we got to trust us. So go ahead and
Yeah.
let's go through that. You gotta
Yeah.
trust us.
You gotta trust us.
Typically, we invite the person who's pursuing to be part of the craft out to dinners and to get to know us better. That way they can build some sort of trust. That way it's not 100% a complete stranger. But then again, at the same time, like, how well do you know somebody? Like,
Right.
For sure.
you know what I mean? You
I know
can know
exactly what you
somebody
mean.
for years and years and years.
And not really even know them.
Precisely. Like that, they made a movie off this guy. It's called The Iceman. He was a Russian mobster, and he was a hitman, and I think he was married for almost 20 years, and his wife never knew that's what he did until he was caught. So,
Whoa.
They make movies like that all the time,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Like, could you be a Freemason and nobody know it?
you don't have to tell people.
Oh, shit. I wonder how many people that we know are Freemasons that we have
it
no
was
idea.
more hidden back in the early days because back in the 14th century, the 1300s, the Catholic Church was killing people for heresy, and if you were caught if you were caught in some kind of club, and you were gathering with different guys who had different religious beliefs, but you were coming together to learn and to be a good person, that's not part of their dogma, so they would have considered that heresy and punishable by death. For
Wow. So okay, so the ritual happens, then what happens after the ritual?
After the ritual is complete, you are appointed a coach. So you get to learn, you get real close with this coach, because then he teaches you a catechism, which is he asks you questions and they're word for word. Like, he has to memorize the exact wording of the questions, and then you are to memorize the exact answer. And it's a question and answer back and forth for arguably 15 or 20 minutes.
Whoa.
You have to memorize it, and you can't read it and you can't write it down. It's from mouth to ear. It's oral tradition.
Really?
Is that for like maybe so you can develop a certain mindset?
Well,
Like in conversation?
it's kind of a vetting system too. People that aren't that sincere won't stick around to learn it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go through the ritual, and then they're like, well, I have to meet up with this guy and learn it. And it's of your own volition. Like, you call your coach and you meet up, your mentor, and you call up and you meet up with him when he can and when you can, and then you learn it. And it takes several hours to learn just the first one. So after you memorize the catechism, he takes you before the lodge brothers, and you have to recite it in front of everybody.
Whoa.
And then the master...
So they ask you the questions then, and then you...
What if you mess it up?
Well, typically the coach asks you the questions in front of the brothers, and you answer your coach in front of the brothers. If you mess up some, it's not that big of a deal, because the other brothers will trust your mentor. If your mentor didn't think you were ready, he wouldn't bring you before the lodge.
Okay.
Now, I've heard some horror stories. I've heard where people like are verbatim very good at repeating it, and then when they got up in front of everybody, they just shut down and like messed up every 3 words.
Oh, whoa.
And like sometimes the master will be like, well, maybe he needs to redo this, but most of the time it's satisfactory.
I think that sounds like more or less a test of like you know, how willing, like you said, like how willing you are to learn it. Like how willing you are to learn just anything, really. Because if you're willing to learn something like that, and then you have the ability to do that, then you definitely have the ability to do more things.
Oh yeah, the lodge is about self-discipline
for sure.
That's what the whole thing is. If you were to, this one is not in code. You can read it from front to back. It's in plain English, and everything that is taught in here is how to better yourself as a person, how to better yourself as a father, a brother, just a member of society, and it's not supposed to contradict with your religious beliefs, your duty to your country, your duty to your family, your friends.
That's a good one. So you can be part of you can be a Mason, but also Christian or Catholic or perhaps Buddhist.
So you can be like whatever you want to be. You have to have a higher power. Is that right?
Being a Mason is not a religion.
No,
Okay.
religion.
And there's not a specific religion tied to it, right?
Correct. We typically have a King James Version Bible on the altar in the lodge. And one day I'll take y'all to the lodge and show y'all the lodge room if you want to.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But
That'd be cool. Could do a podcast there.
You're supposed to confess a belief in deity. I kind of wiggle that.
I know you did.
Well, it's not. I'm not an atheist. I believe in a source, and typically we all do. And some people call the source whatever man-made word and definition, the universe, Allah, Yahweh, Vishnu, whatever, Brahma. And to me, it's the same conversation. It's just people arguing about the vernacular and
Like
the
the
way you was
specifics.
exposed to them.
yeah, the perception that they hold, and which is fine. I'm not religious, but I do accept that we came from a source, and I know that sounds vague, but it's a mystery. You know what I mean?
But
Regardless of what
no big bang.
Well, I mean, I don't.
That wouldn't be. I just think it lacks a source.
Well,
there. In that sense, it lacks a
What
source.
what caused the Big Bang?
Yeah.
No, but that's still no source. It's kind of like it happened.
Yeah, but how
and
did
then
it just
like
happen?
stuff just kept on happening.
Yeah, but he said that
And
there's
then,
a source.
And then
to
you
that.
happened, and then he happened, and I.
And then we all happened
And that,
at the same time.
that's what that theory is about. Like the evolution, things just keep happening.
Yeah.
I say for every action, there's a reaction,
Cause and effect.
and then for the reaction is also an action.
Yeah.
And then there's a reaction. So that's the Big Bang. That's what I get it
Yeah.
from that.
That's considered a misnomer, meaning like the title of Big Bang doesn't make sense because it would have neither been big nor a bang, because sound arguably
Right.
wouldn't have existed and size is relative.
Yeah, it'd be like somebody throwing one of those pop things on the floor. And it wouldn't be like a bang, you know.
It was a Big Bang.
Yeah, you're talking about.
Because you just started like minuscule, like microscopic, even probably past that. And then like until it's like a Big Bang.
Yeah,
I think we in the Big Bang right now.
we this is the Big Bang.
It's a big old orgy in the word.
Yeah, literally.
There was a Greek philosopher named Heraclitus, and he believed, he said this Greek phrase, pantare. It means all flows or everything moves. So it's kind of back like what you were saying. There's cause and effect. If that's flow or if that's everything moving, then who's to say that there was a beginning? If I don't know. There's a philosopher named Alfred North Whitehead. He's dead now, but he believed this thing called process philosophy, that all things are process. Process means to become. Becoming. Things are becoming from what they were to what they are to what they will be continuously. And so arguably in his position, energy, everything being made out of energy would just be, it would not be primary. It would not be the first thing. Process would be the first thing, and energy is just a momentary way that things are, the way things are. It's just a momentary way things are. And it might be different later, and it may have been different before. Arguably, it was different before due to the Big Bang Theory. So who's to say? Because we can't travel back.
Who's to say? Who's to really say?
I don't know.
So
Which that would be probably a movie saying like they created a time
Probably
machine
is a movie.
and they travel so far back and they don't exist. There's
Yo.
no such movie, right? Like they can't even think that much.
yeah,
Because like say if you travel so far back, then nothing would exist then
All right.
because that would be the Big Bang.
That would be the Big
Nothing
Bang.
is started yet.
Could you
Like,
go
you
to the
just
Big
showed
Bang?
up early to the party.
Yeah, but how are you going to enter that into the system of the time machine?
Exactly. I don't know. Well, according to history, maybe.
Maybe we'll figure it out.
Which is
whenever
very
we-
fake.
Whenever we figure out time, whenever we figure out how to time travel and shit.
Yeah.
So, back to what you were saying about entering in. So, whenever you do the ritual and then you do the part where you have to go back and forth with your coach and then recite everything. So, what happens after you get that correct? Once you get that correct,
The master, if he says that your catechism, once you return it, if your catechism was satisfactory, they set you a date for your second degree ritual. This is for fellowcraft. The first degree is entered apprentice. The second one is fellowcraft.
so this is what you mean by degrees? Is that there's levels to the shit?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And each level requires a little bit more discipline.
Interesting.
So whenever you, once the master has set that date for you to go in for your second degree ritual, you go through it, and then you learn a second degree catechism, which is slightly longer. But honestly, in my opinion, the first one was the hardest because you're learning oral tradition. By the time you get to the second one, you've already had your feet wet in the oral tradition, so you kind of got the hang of, because it's you're testing your memory and how to helps learn everything you know you memorized and now you repeat.
Yeah, like
You get what I'm
the
saying?
weight doesn't get lighter, you just get stronger.
Yeah, I guess so. And I guess the weight would be tests, trials, and tribulations throughout your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have a motto, and it is "Dark clouds have led me here." I actually got it from a song, but "Dark clouds have led me here" can be perceived different ways. But one of the ways it can be perceived is dark clouds represents the trials and tribulations that you have survived through to sculpt you into the person that you are now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Dark clouds have led me here.
So you're saying that's like a reflection of that?
Yeah, you've survived storms, and you know you might be surviving one now.
Which could be necessarily bad as well.
Oh yeah, it
in
could
a
be.
sense.
It could be
pretty
perceived bad too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be perceived bad too.
Yeah.
Also, well, dark clouds represents rain. You know what? The darker a cloud gets, the bigger it gets. Those are called cumulonimbus clouds.
Yes, sir.
They're heavier, and then the water particles get so heavy that they fall.
Shout out to the cumulonimbus clouds. Those
So-
are my favorite kind of clouds.
But anyways, after you learn the second degree catechism and you repeat it back, you recite it back to the craft, and then they set you up for the final third degree, which is a little bit different than the first two.
The final third degree, so you get to 3 degrees?
Yes, the third degree, I think I'm allowed to talk about this, and the reason I say that I am is because I heard a former grandmaster of the state of North Carolina talk about this in front of other people that were not Masons. It's called the Hiramic Legend. The Hiramic Legend is part of the third degree. It's not part of the first two. He didn't go into detail about the Hiramic Legend, but he did ask somebody if they knew of the Hiramic Legend. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's essentially...
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm a researcher.
The Hiramic Legend. So I don't know how much exactly I can say about it, but I know that I can mention it. So essentially, you're playing a drama. Rituals are drama. Well, we all perform different rituals. A birthday party, you light the candle.
Yeah.
You blow it out, you make a wish. That is a ritual. During Christmas, we set up trees or pseudo trees, false
It's
trees
like a ritual.
in the home. Yes, it's things that you do. But typically, the purpose of ritual is to enhance your hope that something will happen. It's kind of like prayer. The Greeks called it theurgy, Theurgy.
Manifesting.
I think like with that word, like just the word ritual, like people think of it as some sort
a
of
bad
like
thing.
some sort of like a bad thing.
Yeah.
Or like same thing with like cult. Like
Yes.
people use the word cult, like, but there's good cults out there.
Yeah,
There's
cult comes
cults
from the
that
word culture.
Yeah, and then like with ritual, like
Which in Portuguese, like service, would be culto, which would be also cult.
Oh,
The translation of like, I went to the culto, it would be like, I went to the cult.
right.
So,
Well, theurgy is in basically every religion. Prayer is a form of theurgy, arguably. You have different forms of what some people call magic. Water magic, for example. In Christianity, you have baptism. That would be a form of water magic. They wouldn't call it water magic. You would be arguing of the nomenclature.
so theurgy. Explain theurgy again.
Theurgy is basically where you take time and energy out of your life or out of your day or out of just to discipline yourself to pay homage to something else or to make a desired change somewhere. The Gnostics done this, the Christians done this, the Islamic peoples have done this. It's just fasting.
most of us do that for money nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
We take time and energy.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
it's
I'm just
like
kidding.
no, I get what you're saying. But
Definitely.
it's let's say you were joining a school of thought that they use ritual to teach lessons. Essentially, that's what Freemasonry is. It's you dramatize things out to learn things. Imagine you're at a high school, and instead of sitting down at a desk and trying to stay awake for what the history teacher's telling you, which it may be interesting or it may not be, but instead he has you act it out. You're part of what happened. Hey, let's put on a play. You take it in better. You've devoted more of your time and your energy to it. You gotta.
Yeah, for sure. You learn it
soaked
better.
It in. Yeah, you soaked it in.
Do you
better.
have time to kind of learn about the subject in order for you to be, say, once you get to the ritual, which you kind of being tested, right?
Yes.
Being tested within
as far
the
as your
ritual.
knowledge of that subject, and
For sure.
So, like, do you have that? Do you have the? Do they give you time, or do they tell you what it is? Like, okay, we're gonna be doing this, so, you know, like look into it, research, or maybe they give you like a little, let's say like a script for you to learn. Okay.
What this
memorize is and practice this.
Yeah, this is basically what happens.
And master it.
They
like in the first and the second one.
Before the degrees, essentially, they let you know that you're going to go through with a ritual and you're the candidate of the ritual. They let you know that much.
Do they explain what the ritual is? They don't explain it.
They do afterwards.
Afterwards.
They do afterwards.
Oh, shit.
Now, you can kind of tell the candidate, hey, this is... Everybody here's been through this ritual. Had they not been, they wouldn't be in the lodge room. Everybody in here has been through this. So it's kind of like a rite of passage. Like, you have to go through the ceremony. Otherwise, you're not invited in. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're working your way through it.
Yeah.
And at any point, that can end. Perhaps.
Yes. If you are a candidate during the ritual and you want to stop, all you got to do is say, I don't want to do this anymore, and then you leave.
Can at any point, like, somebody within like a higher up of somebody that's been doing it longer, could they be like, hey, like, we don't want you to do this anymore?
You're not fit.
Yeah, basically like fire you.
You have to meet certain requirements. Like, during the ritual, you're asked specific questions, and typically a person would give a satisfactory answer, because I'm not going to tell you what the question is, but it's real basic. It's almost a yes or no, and typically you wouldn't say no if you were already there at that point, because you've already met people, you've probably already done research online. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nothing heinous. I mean, if I thought that I was going to be harmed, I wouldn't have went through it. But then again, I kind of trusted the guy that, I remember the guy's name, William Schneblin. He was Schneblin. I think it's SCHNOEBELEN. I don't know if he's still alive. So
that sounds Jewish.
He goes through and tells everything that happens in the first 3-degree rituals. This stuff can be found on YouTube, these videos.
And that's the guy that, the former Mason.
Yes, and you don't know if he's telling the truth or not. And so I'm like, okay, but I trusted what he said. And then after that, he goes, then I got into the Scottish rite and I became a 32nd degree. Then I got into this Memphis and Mizraim rite, this Egyptian rite or whatever. And then he started talking about that. And then he started writing books about how he had the choice to become a werewolf or a vampire. So it started getting, and this guy's selling books, and I'm like, it started getting a little off. And
Was it fictional
People
book?
get curious.
He was advertising that it's not. So, and me, back then, I was a huge conspiracy theorist. Like,
yo.
I still am.
I didn't really believe the reptilian alien stuff, but I mean, there was certain JFK assassination that's got some weird stuff about it. 9/11, you're like,
for sure.
The World Trade Center 7
question
falling.
that, all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like, but then it started getting to fantasy some, and I'm like, where does the fantasy end and where does reality end and fantasy begin?
Yeah.
So I started going down those loopholes, and
where they tie into each other.
Yeah, like Bohemian Grove and the Illuminati and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so I was investing so many hours of my life into this Project Bluebeam, all these other things, and so finally I was like, okay, well, the only way I'll actually know is if I try to join myself and try to figure out what's going on. So when I joined, it was back in 2012. So whenever I was supposed to learn my catechism, I actually stopped going after the first or second meetup with my coach. He was coaching me and another guy at the same time, because we had went through our initiation ritual on the same night together.
Oh, wow.
So I backed out of it, because the catechism was work, having to meet up. I thought it was going to be easy. No, you got to meet up.
It's a bunch of work.
Well, you take time out of your life to meet up and discipline yourself to have to learn this thing. And then I was off doing my own thing. I moved out of the county, and I was living out towards Hickory for a little while, and I was very suicidal. Not to go into my testimony for however long, but I was very suicidal. It was it was the same year you and I was hanging out, so it was back in 2015, and so I basically had pulled all my money out of 401k. I was quitting my job that I'd been working at for about 5 years, which was the longest job I'd held down at the time, and I was 27 at the time, but I was just living off of my friends' couches, bouncing couch to couch. I was paying my car insurance, and I was paying my cell phone bill, but I didn't really have any, I had a son who was 5 years old at the time. I wasn't there for him, and my life was spiraling downhill, and I was miserable, and I was very suicidal.
You was trying to find yourself.
Well, I actually was going to commit suicide. The one thing I wanted to see before I died was the Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights.
Yeah.
So I took my 401k money. The reason I took that out was so I could use it to travel to Canada, so I could live. I had enough money saved up where I could live up there just till I could see that, and for months, and because I'd saved a ton of money in my 401k, and I had some savings back too. But anyways, my buddy had called me and said, "Hey man, you've not been acting right. What's been up? What's been going on?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's nothing." He's like, "No, I can tell something's wrong. You're not acting yourself lately. It's been months you've been acting weird." So I told him what my plan was. Hey, in 2 weeks I'm going to Canada. This is what I'm going to do. And I trust this guy not to tell anybody. Otherwise I wouldn't have told him. And he's like, "Can I come hang out with you one last time, this weekend?"
Yeah.
Not a great thing to say, but
no, that's crazy.
You worked out well.
Yeah, I was like, "What? Yeah, you can. I'm leaving in 2 weekends. Come see me this weekend." And he was like, "Okay, because I love you, dude. And, if this is, your final decision, I'm not going to talk you out of it, because I promised that I wouldn't tell anybody, but I at least want to talk more about it." And I'm like, "Okay." Excuse me. He said, "So when I come over, I want you to fast for 6 to 8 hours. Don't really eat or drink anything. It's not even really fasting. Just skip a few meals. Small sips of water." I'm like, okay.
I know where this is going.
Yeah. So, I had... I got straight edge tattoos on me from where I didn't drink, smoke, or do drugs of any kind, and I had never done anything. I had never participated in cannabis or usage or anything like that. So anyways, I didn't know where he was going with that. I was like, "Okay, I can do that." And he was like, "Well, when I get over there, we're going to eat something." And I'm like, okay. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, "Okay, so what did you have in mind?" I didn't know if he wanted dinner or what.
Like, you want me to
your
get you
last meal.
Like, get you a burger or something,
I didn't know if
bro?
he was going to buy me something nice. I didn't know what. He's like, "I'm going to come over there and you're going to eat about 5 dried grams of psilocybin mushrooms." And I'm like, no. He was like, "Why not?" And I'm like, "Well, what if I overdose?" He goes, "You can't overdose on it. There's no LD50 rate on it for humans that we know of." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm not really into partying." He goes, "Oh, this ain't going to be a party. This is
not going to be a party, bro.
Not at all.
This is going to be an experience."
I said, well, what if I get addicted?" He goes, "It's not habit forming."
It's not happening.
Yep.
You're not going to get addicted,
There's
bro.
no habit. There's no physical dependency on this. I'm like, so every argument I was using to try to back out of it, he was like, "Dude, I don't know what."
I'm surprised you didn't say that's subjective.
Yeah.
He just said we'd be like having conversations. Sorry to interrupt, but you'd be having conversations, and you kind of felt like you won the argument, and he'd be like, "That's subjective."
Yeah.
Well, depending on what it is, that's subjective.
That's your opinion, bro.
Yeah, but anyways, so he goes, "At this point, what do you have to lose after what you just told me?
Yeah.
What do you have to lose at this
You
point?"
might as well. You might as well do it.
So he comes over, and I end up taking 6 dried grams. And it's me, him, and the roommate I had at the time, because I lived with my roommate and who he was married to at the time, his wife, and his child. He was real young. And so anyways, it was me, my roommate, and then the guy that brought it over. And I had taken it, and about 20 minutes went by, maybe 30 minutes, and I was starving. And so it acts quicker because I didn't have anything on my stomach. And I was like, dude, I think I'm starting to feel something. He goes, well, you should take a hit of my pipe. That way it'll relax you into it. That way your anxiety won't be high. And I'm like,
I've heard that before.
Well, I've never done that before. He was like, it's easy, man. Just here, hit the pipe. And I was like, I don't know how to work this thing. He's like,
just imagine a first timer though. Like you never done nothing.
Yeah, nah,
and
fuck
you drop
that, dude.
six Jesus shrooms.
yeah, on an empty stomach. And he goes, okay, sit down. I'll work the carb. You just hold the pipe in your mouth. I'll work the carb. And
Pipe with some weed in it.
I'll hold the lighter and I'll light it and I'll tell you when to inhale. So he had to basically baby me into this. And I'm like, okay. So he's like, all right, take a hit. And I'm like, I take the hit and I cough my ass off.
Of course. Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
And you never smoked before this?
No, I'd never done anything.
Mixing the two.
Yeah. So
wow.
So anyways, I'm standing up at the sink because this was happening in the kitchen. I'm standing up at the sink and I'm coughing and coughing and coughing. And he's like, okay, yeah, all right, yeah. Are you done doing that? And I'm like coughing and coughing. He's like, you about done?
For
If
potheads, it's
he
not
goes,
normal
"Dude,"
because they smoke so much.
Yeah.
It's like normal.
He goes, dude, you're going to throw up the psilocybin and it's not going to be any good. And I'm
Yeah,
like,
don't do it.
I'm like, okay. So I sit down, and then next thing I hear, I feel like I went on like this long voyage in my mind. I don't really know what happened, but I
Yeah.
lost time. And
At
then
that point, you're fucked.
He goes, hey, are you ready for the second hit? And then I look up, and I'm like, I was sitting down in a chair in the kitchen. I go, wait, what? He goes, are you ready for the second hit? I was like, wait, how long have I been sitting here? He goes, I don't know, 10 seconds. You were coughing. I told you you was going to throw up if you don't stop. You finally collected yourself. You sat down for about 5-10 seconds. I was like, there's no way.
And the time warp begins.
There's no way. Like, yeah, and it hasn't even really kicked in yet. And
once the time warp begins, man, then the journey has began.
he goes, here, take the second hit. Don't take as big as one because that
Definitely
first one
not.
you tried to, I don't know what you were trying to do, but it's not like a straw, man. He goes, just barely take any of it. I was like, all right. So he lit it for me. I took a baby hit, which was all I needed. And he's like, all right, let's go in the living room. So I go in the living room. They make the lights real low, and it's real quiet in the room. And because we're like taking the experience in. It wasn't to try to party or to try to get the visuals. It was about trying to, like he
just
said,
feel it.
You need to face yourself.
You need to feel that shit, bro.
And so I did. So for the first probably, this is a guess, I'd say 30 minutes or an hour, so I wasn't even peaking yet. I had basically, I kind of faced myself. I was going through like, this is Brandon. This is what Brandon believes. Here's the issues he has with his beliefs, because I was raised by a Sunday school teacher and I was homeschooled. I only went to elementary school and public school. Everything else was homeschool. And, you know, I had doubts and I had fears because they were taught to me at a young age, 8, 9 years old.
Wait, what do you mean elementary school and public school?
I went to public school K through 6. So
K through
in
6.
This county back when I was going to elementary school.
The rest of it was homeschooling.
Yeah, because 6th grade wasn't in the middle school yet. Because like West Alexander now was called West. It was called West Junior High because it was 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and then the high school was 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then they moved 6th grade up to the middle school, and then they moved. When they done that, they moved 9th grade up to the high school.
Yeah.
So anyways, K through 6, so 7 years in public school, and then after that, I was supposed to go to the middle school, and I was homeschooled because of religious reasons and because my parents didn't trust the education system. You know, bad habits you learn from peers. Anyways, I was just going through everything, my relationship with my parents, my coworkers, my friends, good decisions I make, bad decisions I make. I have a 5-year-old son that I wasn't there for. That bothered me.
You sat down and really thought about all that shit.
Like everything, how I chose to dress, the music I chose to listen to, the decisions I chose to make, the tattoos I chose to have. All these things had went through my mind, and maybe I was a little hard on myself on certain things, but at the same time I remembered, dude, life goes on, and you have people here that love you and care about you. if you do go through and commit suicide, think of how your parents will feel. Think of how the people that you love, you will affect so negatively. It's not just about you.
For sure.
Like, even if you're miserable, maybe you're in a position where you're healthy enough to at least make someone else not feel miserable.
Yeah, for sure.
Make that a purpose. Instead of throwing it all away, which you have every right to do, try to be a blessing to somebody else, because there's somebody else out there right now who is going to go through with it unless somebody does something.
For sure.
Or at least somebody tries. You know what I mean? Not that my parents weren't there for me. They always were, but when you're adolescent, you don't want to talk to your parents about everything. You know what I mean? And, about halfway through it, my buddy came in, the one that had took...
Shout out to that guy, by the way.
Shout out. Big shout out.
That's a
to your
great
buddy.
friend.
Shout out to your buddy for sure.
Yeah, he said, I got to leave. My girlfriend's blowing up my phone, and she's going through some stuff. The girl he was dating at the time. He goes, I got to go be there for her. I was like, you're going to drive like that? He goes, well, I didn't take as much as you. I only took like 2. You took 6.
Never mind. Take back that shout out.
Yeah. He goes, I only took 2. You took 6. He goes, and I'm good. I'm like, well, whatever. And I was in no position to try to stop him because I was in the middle of a crisis, basically. And my buddy that I lived with, he was listening to my favorite band, Tool.
Yeah. Shout out to Tool.
Hey, Brennan, you must have been so high.
And
so high.
And
so
he was
close.
listening to a Tool mix on repeat, and it was before their last album came out, so it was like their first 4 albums, I guess. And it was before Fear Inoculum came out. Anyways, he had put it in my ear. And he goes, I'm going to take care of Justice. That's his son's name. And I'm going to take care of Justice. So anyways, he puts the headphones in my ear, and I'm sitting there listening to Tool. And I've always like tried to take in their lyrics because their music is a tool to learn from. You know what I mean? Like, the lyrics are what you make them. How can they help you? And I was just taking that in, and I was still processing my life and picking my life apart. And I was like, it was like I was out. I don't know if I'd call it an out-of-body experience, but I perceived myself outside of Brandon. It was almost as if I was, I don't know, the universe, God, something. I was part of the source, I guess, and I was observing Brandon's decisions and Brandon's actions and what Brandon says and does and thinks. And I was embarrassed by a lot of the behavior that I partook in. And not that I'm completely innocent now, but I mean, I feel like I try to make better decisions than I did before. And I just remember sobbing very, very hard. Not because I was sad, but because I was thankful to be a human and to have the human experience and to meet every single person I've met on the way, whether it was a good experience or a bad one, so I could learn and grow from it as a person. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
And I'm like, my God. And all those religious fears that I had, that I'd been institutionalized with growing up, like the fear of hell, that would still dwindle in the back of my mind from time to time, that started diminishing, which was a big thing for me. You know, when I was growing up and I was younger, my parents would be like, well, you got to get saved, otherwise you'll go to hell, or if the rapture happens, you'll be left behind and you'll never be able to. And I would do everything they asked. Say this prayer, do this thing. And at night, I would cry.
That's why I don't agree with it.
I would pray to God.
Through fear.
Yeah, I would pray to God, like, either A, don't involve me in this, or B, do something to save me, or give me some kind of closure so I don't have this fear. That's what my childhood was like. It was absolutely terrifying, night after night after night after night, and of me like crying, being afraid to go to sleep because I thought the rapture was going to happen while I was asleep, and I would wake up, my parents would be gone. Like, it was horrible. It was horrible. And my parents didn't teach me that so I would feel that way. They taught me that because that's what saved their life. They had an experience through Christianity, but it was not the same for me.
And maybe that's what they were taught as well.
Well, I guess the source, maybe the source reaches different people different ways. You know, my dad had us, he got saved, and he had a huge change of heart. He had bad habits that he done away with because of his salvation. And he was going through probably a midlife crisis. He was at a point to where he may have been suicidal. I don't know. We haven't talked too much about it, but he was He was, as a grown man with 2 kids and a husband, trying to make it out in the world, and he was probably still a little in that party phase when you're transitioning from adolescent mind to adult mind in our society, and it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, because the average person wakes up at an ungodly hour to get stuck in traffic to go to a bullshit job that they hate for the next 40 years of their life, and it doesn't inspire them creatively at all, and that's the average American. And I stole most of that, what I just said, from Bill Hicks and Terrence McKenna, but it's the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's the truth.
It is the truth.
And I blame it on the education system.
Yeah, that's a lot of it.
For sure, it
the
definitely
governing
is.
body's decisions too.
So this was all before you decided to become a Mason.
I became an entered apprentice, and I went through that experience, and then when I got my shit together, and
this is whenever you left. This is like after
Alexander County.
You did the first 2 rituals?
I did the first ritual in 2012. And then, I have it marked in here what day. Okay, I did my first ritual on August 13th, 2012. I had my experience with psilocybin in 2015. After 2015, that same week that I did psilocybin, it was within 10 days, I believe, I contacted the mother of my child, which I have 4 now, but I only had 1 at the time. And I contacted her, and I said, I want to be in his life, I want to be there. So I started coming around. He lives with me now.
That's awesome.
The mom got on substances. Long story short, she's not a bad person, but she got on substances and kind of lost her kids, and now I'm involved in his life. And but anyways, he lives with me full time now, and I quit sleeping around with a bunch of women, and I started to settle down, and I found the right person, and now we're married. And you know, in 2017, me and my wife. Well, we weren't married at the time, but the girl I'm married to now, we got together, we got our own place, and I was like, hey, I want to start going back to the lodge and take it seriously.
Yeah.
And I'm no longer being motivated by conspiracy theories. I'm motivated by, I want to learn what they actually have to teach, because I learned more about it too. Yeah. And then that's when so in August of 14th of 2017, I got passed to the fellowcraft degree, and then I got raised to the 3rd degree of a master mason.
Oh, wow.
That same year. I learned that catechism. And
so you're a master right now?
Yeah, I'm.
Wow.
So then, when you become a master of the lodge, you can learn the 3rd degree catechism, which is even longer than the first 2. It's optional. You are now welcome at all the meetings. You don't have to learn the 3rd degree catechism, but if you learn it, you can now be an officer of the lodge. There's different officers.
Are you going to?
I've already been. Are
you in process?
Well, I've already been through them all. Well, all the ones you need to. Well. Here's the officers of the lodge. You have the Tyler. He sits outside of the door during the lodge, and he holds a sword to keep cowens and eavesdroppers away. Because back in the day, you had to look out for the craft, because maybe a Catholic will show up and say, hey, these people are committing heresy, we need to kill them. Or anybody, not just a Catholic, no offense to Catholics, but that's why you have...
Don't personally like them.
But anyways, so that's the Tyler. Then you have the chaplain. He reads the prayers during the lodge, or recites prayers during the lodge. Then you have the secretary, who keeps a log of the data that goes on during the lodge. You have the treasurer. He keeps a hold of the money of the lodge in case we want to spend money as a lodge on charity work. Then you have the junior steward and senior steward. They have a role, which they basically assist this other job called the junior warden. I'll get into that in a minute. So you have the junior steward and the senior steward. Then you have the junior deacon. He helps the senior warden. He has certain. I don't know what all roles I'm allowed to express that they do.
What are these like? Is this what is this in the eyes of the government? Like that's like, is it?
Well,
would it be considered a church, or
no? Not really. It's basically a charity organization. Yeah, but
like a nonprofit.
Arguably, I don't remember what we fall under now. It's some kind of, I don't remember what the statute is that we fall under, or what code we fall
under.
Like
a 501(c)(3).
Yeah, it's probably something like that.
That's somewhat of a nonprofit.
I think that's what we fall under. So basically, it's junior steward, senior junior deacon, senior deacon, junior warden, senior warden, master of the lodge. So typically, whenever you become an officer, you go through junior steward for a year, then senior steward for a year, junior deacon for a year, senior deacon for a year, junior warden for a year, senior warden for a year, and then master of the lodge for a year. But it's a vote. Mm-hmm. You vote in the lodge. So, like,
and
you could be...
do have to go through that time.
There you go, bro.
In order to be,
Well, I skipped chairs because of lack of members at the lodge. You have to have 7 to open.
Okay.
You have to have 7 lodge members show up on meeting nights to open the lodge officially. If you don't, you don't open. But yeah.
So is this like is there like jobs there? Like, are people getting paid to be there? Or is it just voluntarily?
You do not get paid to be at the Freemason Lodge. To be a Freemason, it's all volunteer.
So all the duties that you have are voluntarily placed upon you.
Essentially, you have exoteric and esoteric. Exoteric is what you see on the outside. Esoteric is what you see on the inside. So, let me read something right quick from here. I was telling you about.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, you have. I remember that.
Yeah, it's like
on the podcast.
Okay.
Yeah,
I should have this memorized, but it's been so long since I've had it memorized. Okay, the working tools of an entered apprentice are the 24-inch gauge and common gavel. Okay, so if you were a mason, not a Freemason, but an actual mason, you would use a measuring stick, a 24-inch gauge, and a common gavel. Okay, the 24-inch gauge is an instrument made use of by operative masons to measure and lay out their work. But we, as free and accepted masons, are taught to make use of them for the more noble and glorious purpose of dividing our time. It being divided into 24 equal parts is emblematic of the 24 hours of the day, which we are taught to divide into 3 equal parts, whereby are found 8 hours for the service of God and a distressed worthy brother, 8 hours for our usual avocations, and 8 hours for refreshment and sleep. The common gavel is an instrument made use of by operative masons to break off the corners of rough stones, the better to fit them for the builder's use. But we, as free and accepted masons, are taught to make use of it for the more noble and glorious purpose of divesting our hearts and consciences of all the vices and superfluities of life, thereby fitting our minds as living stones for the spiritual building, that house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens. So you can see the guy that wrote this, Bowman, he was influenced by the Bible, because he puts that house not made with hands, eternal in the heavens, in quotation marks. That's a quote from the Bible. But it just, you see how it's used as an allegory. The 24-inch gauge and the common gavel is used to break off stones, but as a Freemason, not as a Mason, but as a Freemason, we use it to try to, hey, I have this vice in my life. I need to break that vice off.
So it's like a metaphor.
Shape yourself into a better human and citizen and perhaps husband and
so it's using
member of whatever you are.
Basically using an analogy.
Exactly. It's that's what it is. It's allegories to teach. It's using this to teach you how to be a better person.
I think the actual Bible has a lot of that.
Yeah, the Bible has a lot of that.
I mean, people do take it like superficially, but
like the parables that Jesus gives, like the separating the wheat from the chaff and stuff like that. Yeah, I think there's good teachings in the Bible. But I mean, I think there's good teachings in the Quran too, and the Bhagavad Gita, and just I think most religions probably have a good teaching. Otherwise, you wouldn't want to relate to it. You know what I mean?
So I remember you saying earlier that like everybody's on like the same playing field, like the same thing. But is there not like a hierarchy there?
There is. That's what the roles of the officers are. The master of the lodge. I was master back in 2022, so it was 2 years after COVID. And it's a huge responsibility to be the master of the lodge, because you're kind of orchestrating how the lodge meeting goes, because you're the boss. And everybody else is kind of like subservient to you, but it's all volunteer, and you don't want to be, like, you wouldn't be sadistic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're there to learn to be better people, and how you can be better in the community. You get what I'm saying? How you can do charity work in the community. And it's all volunteer work. You don't get paid for it. We're taking time out of our lives and out of our day and out of our energy and away from our families to gather together to learn these things.
Yeah, wow. That's so what is the overarching purpose of all of it?
That depends on the Mason that you ask, but essentially, yeah, Freemasonry, if I'm not mistaken, before there was Freemasonry, there was the Rosicrucian order. This is where you get into occultism. The Rosicrucians, they had rituals and stuff that they taught how to be better people and how to learn. Typically, there's a spiritual aspect to it. To me, that's debatable, depending on who you are, because this talks about the soul and spirituality a little bit, but to me, it's how you word things. Like, it's not spirit, it's energy. It's not energy, it's spirit. It's not the consciousness, it's the soul. It's not God, it's the universe. Like I said before, it's how you perceive it. To me, it's the same conversation.
Yeah, you just get into semantics.
Yeah, exactly. You're arguing the nomenclature, you're arguing the hermeneutics, the semantics, all of that. It's and a lot of it's not worth arguing about. Does this help you become the best person that you can be? You get what I'm saying? Is this a tool for your life?
So it's like because I've heard of it being like a striving for a lot of learning, like just being a sponge of learning.
Well, yeah, and like I said, after you go through the third degree, you can go into other appending bodies. You can go into appending bodies like the York Rite. They teach the Knights Templar degrees, and you have the Scottish Rite, which that goes to the 33rd degree. If you read conspiracy theories online, they typically talk about, well, you don't know the real secrets of Freemasonry until you go to the 33rd degree. Most people that repeat that rhetoric, that propaganda, typically they're not a Mason, or they're lying, or they don't know what they're talking about, because the Scottish Rite wasn't even developed until like the 1700s, maybe the late 1600s. No, I think it was developed in 1801, and it started, the Scots degree was added maybe in the 1700s, so it would have been the 18th century. So, but Freemasonry, the oldest piece of art that we have that has the square and compass on it, is this piece of art called the rebus, and it dates back, I think, to the 14th century. So when you have Freemason ideas circulating around for hundreds of years, and then the Scottish Rite doesn't come around until like 300 or 400 years later, how can you sit here and say that nobody knows the secrets of a Freemason unless they're a 33rd degree of an appending body that was created centuries later? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it goes back to the Leo Taxil hoax. This guy back in I think it was the 1800s. It might have been 1900s. His name was Leo Taxil. He had a problem with the Catholic Church. So what he did was he wrote a paper saying that he had converted to Catholicism, and he had knew this guy or he knew this woman. I think her name was Diana Vaughn, and she was part of the Freemasons. And he was releasing all this information that they worship the devil and they're Luciferians and they do all this crazy stuff.
I do got a question.
Yes.
So at the lodge here in Taylorsville, there is Ao Sing Eye.
Yes.
There is the compass with the
Yes.
The Mason symbol. There's a Ao Sing Eye and there's a pentagram.
Yes.
So what does the
what does the pentagram mean?
Just like symbolism wise, because like we do have symbolism on our day to day everywhere.
Yes,
for sure.
Most of them like we unaware of it, and we wear it and we drink from it, and So what those represent as far as like this lodge?
Yes, let me explain that. Do you mind if I finish what I was saying first before I hand it?
Yes.
Okay, so the Leo Taxil hoax was a guy, he was a French writer who started a bunch of lies about the Freemasons. He pretended to be, to convert to Catholicism. He did not like Catholics, he did not like the clergy. And he would give them false information, and they would publish it, and he was making money off of it. And he did this, I think he said, for 12 years. And finally, when he was supposed to produce the woman that was giving him all this information about it, he went to the press conference and said, well, actually, she doesn't exist. I made it all up, and I appreciate y'all for funding it and making me money.
Damn. Yeah, so, I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, but still to this day, people try to say that Freemasons are Luciferians, and you won't know unless you're in the 33rd degree, and this person's repeating something they saw online.
It's just a bunch of bullshit. So there is no 33rd degree.
Well, there's a 33rd degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, but there's evidence on where that stuff came from and how it's not much different than the final degree in the York Rite, and all this stuff is available online to read, and you don't actually know until you're there.
So here there's the third degree? Is that what you're saying?
In Blue Lodge Freemasonry.
Blue Lodge.
To be Scottish Rite, you have to go through the 3 degrees of Blue Lodge. Yeah, you have to go through the...
That's why I asked you, like, there's more than 33? Because, like,
in
my research, I only saw 33.
It depends. Scottish Rite is 33rd degree, and that's an honorary degree. So, like, you can go from the 4th degree to 32nd degree in a weekend at a temple. But to get the 33rd degree, you have to be invited. Okay. It's invitation only.
Whoa. So, what exactly do y'all do? What do y'all do? As just like as a group.
Well, we do our ritual work, because ritual work is how you get people in. They have to go through the rituals to get in. So if you want to maintain members, you have to know how to do the ritual. So we practice our ritual and the rite of passage to get these guys in if they're interested. And then while we're there, we teach them stuff. We have Masonic education, and it can be about the things that we learn in the lodge, like the 7 liberal arts and sciences.
So does everybody learn everything? Everybody has to learn, or is there like involuntary classes, or you have to do it?
No. Sometimes they don't have Masonic education, but sometimes they do. It doesn't even necessarily have to involve Freemasonry essentially. Before they used the allegory of Masonry, they used alchemy. Alchemy was an old science where you turned base metals.
That's basically like
into gold.
What? Yeah. Well. Yeah.
It's alchemy is essentially the transmutation from something less desirable to something more desirable.
Wasn't it to find like an elixir to
occultism?
Yeah, occultism.
Yeah, which I did find a lot of interesting things.
Yeah,
but it can be evil, I would say, in my opinion. Anyway,
it depends on the intent of the person doing it. Occult essentially just means secret.
Secret knowledge.
Well, anyways, belief is important. If you believe something, then if it's important enough, you'll invest your whole life into it.
Yeah, most definitely.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but alchemy didn't that like end though? There's not. It's modern day chemistry now.
Alchemy predates chemistry. Well, what chemistry is they took the stuff that works physically out of alchemy and they kept it. Same thing with astronomy. It came from astrology. They took what works, and then what seems like superstitious stuff they pushed to the side.
Because like they couldn't make anything into gold.
Right. Well, like I was saying in here, you have operative masonry and you have speculative masonry. Operative is where you're building stuff. Architecture, that's why you have the compass and the square. Geometry.
Yeah.
You need geometry to build things.
So I'm guessing speculative is like basically based off of whatever is solid and is like 100%. You can kind of use that to potentially understand other things.
Speculative part is using it as parable and allegory to learn from it, because we're not actually at the lodge building things like this.
You are building something yourselves.
Yes, you're building. You're working on yourself.
Eventually, society once you go out there.
Yeah, and so alchemy would have been the first allegory before Freemasonry was used, or before Masonry was used. It would have been alchemy, because, like I said, alchemy is essentially the transmutation from something less desirable to something more desirable. Well, if this is me, and I want to become this, then alchemy is me. And Freemasonry is me working towards this goal.
So you're talking about like psychological alchemy.
Well, yeah. And it can even be physical. Hey, I got an addiction to high fructose corn syrup. I need to cut out my soda intake. So
99% of Americans.
Yeah, so maybe I need to work on that, and that'll make me physically healthier too. But yeah, it's mostly how your patience, how you handle pining, like if someone dies or you go through a breakup or some type of loss. And things like that. Just how to respond better, how to think proper.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, because a lot of it is knee-jerk reactions where we've not had disciplined ourselves whenever something doesn't go our way. Someone cuts you off in traffic, or if someone tries to talk trash or whatever, like the first response would be like, okay, I could punch this guy's lights out.
Protecting your energy, you're saying.
There's several ways to word it, and whatever way that makes best sense to you that's your... Yeah. That's best for you.
Would you?
Because protecting your energy to me is like, like say you can be having, which happens to most people, you can be having a good day, and something like say little happen, like someone catch you off in traffic or whatever,
and you
maybe
get pissed.
You dropped your water on your shoe or whatever, and you get pissed.
Emotional self-control.
The rest of your day.
It's fucked. Yes.
So to me is that like protecting your energy, because now you're putting your energy, the good energy you have, towards something minuscule that happened. That you may not even had control over it.
For sure. So then it just turns you into whatever.
A grouch.
A grouch. Yeah. A mean grouch.
Well, it's also the gift that keeps on giving, because like if you've learned, and we all have bad days.
Yeah, of course.
But like, let's say y'all aren't married, are you? Well, let's say like you're dating somebody.
You been thinking about it?
Let's say you're dating somebody and you're at work, and they text you some BS message and it ruins your day, and you're stuck at work and you're having to deal with that at work, and you don't want to leave because you're making money.
I have done that before.
I've done that before, for sure.
And it makes the day miserable. How can I discipline myself to be like, okay, first off, there's nothing I can do right now that's going to be positive. So instead of acting on my raw emotion, I can try to discipline myself right now and be patient, and then deal with it.
Yeah, fix the things that you can control, and just...
When I get to the proper time and place, sometimes it's better to wait before you respond. I've heard of people say, don't walk off. Why are you walking off? Sometimes people need space.
We just need to process.
Time to cool off, because if they respond right then and there, it could be real bad. They might do something they regret. They might say something they'll regret.
I do think the optimal thing, like to get to, is like say not walking off, and being able to handle that at that moment in time. Yes,
for sure.
With the cool mind or whatever.
Yes.
But walking off, it can be how you say
it can be looked at in a certain way
to where I understand that I'm not there yet.
Yes.
So I will walk away at this moment. So it's cool to do that, but get to the part where you're like, okay, you're not walking away, but you're still able to handle yourself.
Well, if you got someone who's typically physically violent whenever things don't go their way, because there are people like that, people in domestic disputes where they'll punch their wife or whatever, and then if they walk away instead of punching their wife or their child or whatever,
that's a good thing.
That's progress. It might not be where your peak self, but you're making progress. And some people don't recognize progress, especially if they don't know you very well. You know what I mean? Because we're all a work in progress if you care. If you care, because you're a cell in the social body. Are you a cancerous cell or are you a healthy one? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not just with the human species, but with the ecosystem itself, with decisions you make. And I'm not here to sit here and act like a tree hugger or saying, hey, everybody should recycle. But I mean, responsible behavior.
Well, y'all should.
There's responsible behavior, and you know what I mean? Yeah. And not even just with habits like that, but it could be your diet, like how much trash are you eating? It's your body, you eat what you want to. But like, it's kind of like a vehicle, and if you're putting bad oil in it.
How do you eat though? Like
with my mouth.
Because I know that, but like, how is your diet? Just to ask.
Mine?
I do seek to eat better. Like,
is your diet good?
Try to like have more fruit intake, more than vegetables. In fact,
more fruits and vegetables.
But I do.
We need those.
From Brazilian background, I'm eating rice and beans all the time.
Oh yeah,
most definitely, and vegetables and meat. So I haven't let go of the meat because on my research,
don't let go of the
meat,
bro. Nah, it's bullshit.
Pork, pork is nasty.
Pork,
but
beef,
definitely.
What about beef and chicken?
Oh yeah,
it's bad.
I just made some fried rice today.
So you're saying that beef and chicken's bad?
No, not to me.
Not to me.
Depends how you cook it and how you season.
Oh.
But as far as like say, Like, do you eat healthy? Do you consider yourself a healthy eater or no?
Before,
And does that involve masonry as well?
Okay, so before I ever became a Mason, well, I guess it wouldn't have been before I became a Mason. It was after I became an entered apprentice, but I wasn't taking Freemasonry seriously. I had cut pork out of my diet because even though I love sausage, I love bacon, I love stuff like that, the more I ate of it, like if I ate a bunch and would pig out, I would feel bad.
Get it?
Yeah,
I would
pig
feel
out.
bad. Yeah, pig out.
Yeah.
And so whenever me and my the woman I'm with now, my wife, whenever we first started dating, we had been talking for a little while, and she had been a vegetarian for years. And I was like, okay, well, I was vegan for about 6 months a few years back, and it was very hard to do. But if I have a vegetarian girlfriend, she's been a vegetarian for years, she would know like the best way to go into this. She could give me tips, tricks, and if we lived together, like she would
maybe
know how
even
to-
change your whole diet.
So I ended up dropping meat, all of it except for venison, which is deer meat, and I dropped it all back in 2017, and then a few months later, I think it was might have been April of 2017, I dropped venison too. But the reason, so I haven't ate meat since 2017. But
Wow.
But the reason I'm a vegetarian, and the primary reason I'm a vegetarian or have a meatless diet, and the primary reason my wife has a meatless diet are not exactly the same.
Yeah.
Her primary argument, from my understanding, is she doesn't like the way the animals are treated in the meat industry.
Oh, okay.
My primary
So there's different types of vegetarians.
That's my secondary argument. My primary argument is I also do not like it, but not necessarily because of the harm is the primary. It's mostly because of the stuff they put in the meat, the growth hormones.
That's the best one for me.
A lot of them are contrapped to this pen, and they're like,
Those
well,
are
yeah,
the
that's
best
inhumane.
ones.
That's inhumane, but I'm like, yeah, it is inhumane, but also like
The demand
they
is
can't.
big.
They're breathing methane gas in all the time because they're literally standing in their shit and their piss all day, and they're breathing that in, and you are what you consume. So like they're constantly that. Plus, hey, let's give growth hormones to this chicken and these pigs and this beef so they can hurry up and mature faster, so we can hurry up and kill them, so we can hurry up and sell them.
Bigger and better chicken.
So considering that, would you raise your own and then knowingly say?
Yeah, but that was his wife's reason. We got to hear his reason.
Well, that's his second reason.
Was that your reason?
His primary was
primary's the health of the animal based off of the stuff they do to it, because I'm consuming the animal and it affects me too.
That was your reason.
Polluted animals.
Hers was
just the inhumane.
Yes, it's just how violent it is to
and
the animal.
That would be tackling both of those reasons. Like say raising your own.
There's a hair splitting difference.
Not pigs though. Like say to me, they're just filthy animals. I do agree with that. It just they good like scrap. Throw the scraps for them.
Yeah.
But bacon's alright.
It's good to have them. They're kind of cute when they big.
They're kind of cute.
Little,
yeah. You can use them as pets.
I say, would you raise like some chickens maybe for eggs eventually? Like, yeah.
You eat eggs?
Or a cow? Or no? Or lamb? Lamb, I think.
You're saying if I would raise it on my own, knowing that it has a clean diet, would I consume it then? Mm-hmm. That was the reason why I cut venison out last, because my dad is a hunter and he would provide deer meat. The deer was wild. And it grazed in fields naturally, and you get what I'm saying? Not that would be completely clean because of particles that land on it.
Do you eat fish?
No, that would be a
pescatarian.
Pescatarian, yes. But if I raised my own, would I eat them? I don't know. I've never really. Me and my wife had talked about stuff like that before. If she eats meat on accident, like if we get something that's got beef broth in it and we didn't know it had beef extract in it, she eats it, she'll get sick. So I've had meat products, well, I guess it would be meat, on accident before. Like eat a soup and then you don't know that the base was chicken broth after you ate it. Oh, hey, here's our cheddar broccoli soup. Oh, wow, that was good. What did you have in it? Well, we had a chicken extract in it.
Perfect.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay.
No.
And then my wife gets sick. So I mean, we've had meat like that, but it wasn't intentionally eating it because we went there and ordered it like that on purpose. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think protein is a necessity, especially like when
Protein?
when you're working out. Like you can be.
So you don't think
you can be
protein is a
fruit-based.
necessity?
No, really. Like no, especially to grow muscle.
Really?
Yeah,
Are
I
you
don't
talking
think
about
so.
protein or just meat?
Well, you get a lot of people eat like a lot of meat, rice
For the protein.
Like to get buff and
So are you saying you're saying that you can get your protein in other ways, or are you saying that you don't need no protein at all?
Maybe you can get it other ways.
Yeah.
Beans.
But also
beans.
you may not need it like that.
Peanuts or not just
Not
peanuts,
to
but
grow
nuts?
muscle. No, that's but like
You don't
that.
think so?
You do need it probably, but
I
not
feel like
to
you
grow
need it to
muscle.
grow muscle, like
But
protein.
like gorillas and stuff, they don't eat
protein?
They don't eat meat, do they?
I think they eat things that have protein in it because they're
Yeah,
omnivorous.
for sure.
If I'm not mistaken, all primates are.
They probably grow
omnivorous.
their own spinach.
Like they're frutivores, no?
Frutivores?
Yeah,
That's a thing?
mostly fruits. Yeah.
It's frutivores? It's called frutivores?
I mean, of course, they're
They'll
not
eat
gonna like sit
insects,
there and be
too.
like, "Oh, that's not a fruit. I'm not gonna eat it."
They're
But
insectivores.
they don't eat meat like that. Some of them probably
Oh.
do. Like some primates do.
Yeah, I think that there's some that eat other species.
But I don't think gorillas do.
Like monkeys eat like other monkeys.
I think if they were
Some of
hungry
them.
enough, they might would.
They're hungry.
Yeah, they might would. Yeah.
Yeah, you mean on a standard diet, what would they eat?
I feel
don't
like
know.
maybe
I'm
they
not-
would like catch a bird or some
I
shit.
think so. I don't think you necessarily need protein to grow muscle.
Wow. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that.
I don't know.
But I don't know either.
It's for us to debate.
It's
for
for us
you
to-
to research.
yeah, it definitely is.
Yeah, and maybe it's subjective.
Hey, it's
I don't know.
subjective.
There is studies in it.
Hey.
I'm
I'm
just
sure.
playing.
I'm sure.
I'm just playing.
Hell yeah.
I did used to hate that. I used to hate that.
So did you? So
I go home and I think of a better argument.
yeah, and you got to come back with
You
something
can't-
good.
See, this is subjective.
What was it
This
about?
is
What
a
was it
fact.
about?
This is.
I don't.
a
It just
fact.
be random stuff.
Just
You know,
anything,
just sat
bro. You
down
can do
in
that
the
with
park.
anything, really.
Yeah, we sat down in the park and we just talk.
Yeah.
You know, and then.
Then at them on Facebook later.
Eventually, it be subjective.
Just
There
be
was,
like,
a,
"You-
there
look at
was a
this."
guy that approached me at the park one time. It was him and two girls. I was sitting there on the swing, and he came up to me, and he was trying to proselytize. He was basically trying to get me to go to church with him, and I was like, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I tried to show him. I think it was Matthew 1:16 and Luke 3:23. I don't know if you're familiar with these passages, but they talk about the genealogy of Jesus. So I guess you could say it was Jesus. He didn't have a human father. He had Joseph, which is his mom's husband. Well, anyways, in Matthew 1:16, it says Joseph's father is Jacob. Jacob begat Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
And then in Luke 3:23, it says Joseph, the son of Heli. So there's two different genealogies for Joseph. So, and some people argue, well, the one in Luke's Mary's genealogy, but it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in any of the Greek manuscripts. I think they were just using, the different authors were using two different sources. Well, anyways, I think that was one of the ones I used on him. And I was like, well, maybe we could just talk more about it. I ended up going to dinner with them that night. I think at Applebee's. It was me and those three. And I think it was 6 months later. Because before, when I first met him, I didn't have the psilocybin experience. And then eventually I got him to try psilocybin.
Wow.
Yes.
Whoa.
That's a crazy
Yeah,
revelation.
he-
Yeah, that's insane.
But he basically had abandoned that going around trying to proselytize people because he had a good heart.
Was
I mean,
he,
he was reaching out.
What's it called?
Was he a Jew?
No.
No, he was a Christian.
Christian.
He was.
What's that other one they knock people?
Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness.
That's what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
they use a New World Translation. It's interesting. But yeah, I have a relative that's a Jehovah's Witness.
Whoa.
Dylan's grandmother,
Oh.
Tina's mom.
Whoa.
So are y'all related? That's what I asked you. Did I ask you
No,
that?
I
or
don't
did
know
say-
if we are. Maybe we are.
Or
We're
did I
probably
ask you-
related. My
Those are the
last name's
same last-
Bowman.
I'm not familiar with too many Bowmans around here. Did you have an ancestor named Esker? He used to live around
No.
Ancestors,
I don't know.
back.
I don't know of an Esker. Maybe I do, and I just don't know.
He's dead now. He would have been my great-grandpa.
No, my great-grandpa's name was Carl.
That is an ancestor.
No, I don't think so. Most of the people I'm related to around here are Tig.
Tig.
Yeah. Oh, Dylan's related through Tig. That's how him and I are related. His great grandma is my grandma's sister.
I think that was my first question. Like when I approached this meeting, I was like, or maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
did I
think
you,
so.
Like
if we were related
to
maybe somewhere way down the line. Have you lived around here your whole life?
I was raised in Alexander County. John Alexander Tig and party had moved here, I think, from Delaware back before the Civil War on Barrett's Mountain in Ellendale, and they settled there, and that's who my ancestors were. That's how we got here. Yeah, it was before.
Then
Alexander
we probably
County.
are related, man.
Probably are.
Probably, yeah. The likelihood of it is very high.
Yeah,
most of the Bowmans are like related to each other in some sort of way.
I'm related to nobody.
You're related to me, buddy, and him.
You're right.
We're brothers in Christ.
You're right. Oh my God.
Yes, sir. So, so say I wanted to become a Mason, could I do it? And I'm not just speaking about me. I'm speaking about in general. I'm speaking for the people.
You would have to ask for a petition, and then you'd have
to go through the process.
Check done. Yeah, you have to go through the process.
Like that you explained. Okay. So
don't join out of curiosity.
Would you recommend it?
Intentions,
would you recommend it to people?
I only recommend it to people if they're interested in self-discipline and they feel their intentions are pure. But then again, that's back to the subjectivity, because when I first joined, I thought my intentions were pure, when really I was curious out of the things that I'd heard out of conspiracy theories, and there was a little bit of fear into it. That's kind of what drove me to it, to see if I could find out and expose. And you know what I mean? It was silly, but
so it's not for everybody.
Anybody that's interested in self-discipline. I mean, in the ancient free and accepted Masonry, what I'm involved in is they only allow men. Women cannot join.
Ooh.
Yeah, women cannot join. You asked me earlier why the pentagram. This circles back.
That's
around
what I was about.
I didn't want to go back.
That was going to be my last question.
Having a good conversation.
No, I was about to get back to that.
This circles back to that. That pentagram that you see on the window. It's upside down. A pentagram is a star. Right? Yeah. It's an upside down pentagram. It's for the Order of the Eastern Star. It's for men and women. Typically, the man has to be a Mason, or the man has to be a Mason, and the woman has to be related to or married to or somehow affiliated with a brother of the craft. So that's how women get into the Order of the Eastern Star. Why is the star pointing downward? People ask, why is it upside down? Okay. In Matthew, I think it's Matthew, it might be in Luke, that's the only two Gospels of the four that have a nativity scene, or that have a scene of baby Jesus. Because Mark chapter 1, Jesus is a grown man being baptized, and John doesn't have that. Anyways, it talks about the star leading to where Jesus is being born. And that star is pointing down. That's why the point is down. It's a representation of, like I said, most of this has to do with a Christian foundation, but you don't have to be a Christian to join.
After, but what about the all-seeing eye?
What about the all-seeing eye?
Let me read this.
Yeah, let's hear this.
If I can find it.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Forgot about it.
No, we ain't gonna forget.
And we're not trying to imply anything. It's just out of curiosity.
This is Freemason truths.
That is something that always intrigued me.
This is Freemason truths right here.
All right, I'll read you what the Bonson manual says.
So you don't have to worry about it anymore. He's gonna clear this up for you.
Well, typically what we call in Freemasonry, what we call God is the great architect of the universe. We don't say Yahweh like in the Bible. We don't say Allah like in the Quran. We say the great architect of the universe. Why? Because you have different guys in the room who have a different perception and perspective of deity, and you're not offending anybody by exalting yours and not theirs. You get what I'm saying?
Exactly.
If you have a Muslim in the lodge and you're a Jew and you say, well, yeah, thanks to Yahweh, he might feel excluded because, but if you say the great architect of the universe, we're all talking about the same thing.
Yes.
Just under different names.
Understandable.
All right, the all-seeing eye, whom the sun, moon,
Hold
and
on,
stars...
fix your mic a little bit, bro. Yeah, go ahead.
The all-seeing eye, whom the sun, moon, and stars obey, and under whose watchful care even comets perform their stupendous revolutions, pervades the secret recesses of the human heart, and will reward us according to our merits. Want me to read it again?
No, that's that
I
right
kinda
there.
wanna say yes.
No, that was that's how the piece was even created to begin with. The art piece was the very beginning of it was originally created through the eyes of that. The eyes of what you're talking about.
You're talking about what I just read?
What you just read. Yeah.
One more time.
One more time. Let's hear it.
Please.
All-seeing eye, whom the sun, moon, and stars obey, and under whose watchful care even comets perform their stupendous revolutions, pervades the secret recesses of the human heart, and will reward us according to our merits.
So it's relating that to the great architect.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
it's supposed to be like
Mostly.
God looking upon the people.
Yeah.
And just kind of like
To me, I mean, that's what I
But
got.
it's still
from.
cause and effect too, because
Yeah.
it's and will reward us according to our merits.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Like I said, I still believe in cause and effect. I just don't believe that he was purposeless, like in the sense of like, okay, because like I say, it's cause and effect.
Yes.
The Big Bang don't have a cause. It just happened, and then cause and effect starts from
like
there.
the original.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the original all-seeing eye was I'm saying the art piece. It was originally like an art, like what we see now of the all-seeing eye with the rays
Like on the back of the
behind
dollar
it.
bill.
Yeah, like this right here.
So America
Yes.
is Mason.
It's
To break it down,
yeah, well,
at least the central bank.
it was that art piece, the one that's on the dollar bill, was based off of what you just read.
I mean, I've looked into some of that. Kind of. I'm sure it has. I mean, there's been Freemasonic ties to.
From what I heard, that's what it is.
From forefathers of the country.
the founder, yeah.
Yeah, George Washington was a Mason. I think in the minutes, though, he hardly ever came to lodge or something like that. I don't know why he's exalted as like. It's because of the stature he has as the first president. You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
But,
So
but
you're saying, so you believe that a lot of the founding fathers were Masons?
yeah, I think a lot of them were. If you read a book called Fire in the Minds of Men by James Billington, he talks about how revolutions typically start throughout history, and most of them start with a group of people, kind of like Freemasonry. He mentions that in the book, how like secret societies of like-minded people come together to overthrow said governing body to make it. Not always, but a lot of times it's like
last
that.
question.
Well, we may have more questions. Go ahead, bro.
I ask everybody. I gotta go.
You gotta go.
I do, but
Okay.
please continue. I'm gonna watch this later.
Okay.
But this is a personal question. You know, I
Uh-huh.
ask everybody that shit. Flat Earth or round Earth?
Oh.
That's my dilemma. No, it's not a dilemma. I believe in flat Earth, and he was. I
What
just
do you
converted
believe
to
in?
it. Not recently,
Yeah.
but you know.
I absolutely do not believe in flat Earth.
At
Okay.
all.
Do you believe that the Earth, by flat, do you mean, okay, it wouldn't be one dimension and it wouldn't be two
Not
dimensions?
flat to
So
where you
believe
go and fall to the edge. Maybe more lands beyond what civilians allowed to explore. Pretty much it. I mean, I can't speak beyond that because there's very little evidence
Let me
that
give you
that
this.
exists. But there's there's very little evidence that planets exist
Or space
Let's
exists.
say believing in God. I'm not gonna say Christian. You know, I don't want to label myself like that because that would be a terrible one, anyways. But just believing in God, and let's say maybe perhaps following the Bible. What would be the point, the purpose of other planets, and how would God play a role? You know,
But I'm not a
creating
Christian. I'm not a
those.
Christian either, so I couldn't.
that's what I'm saying. Or the great. I mean,
So do you not think that space is real?
Yeah, we're going to space
Let me ask
right
you
now.
this. The Flat Earth Society
kidding.
website used to have this on their website. I don't know if they still do, but it was on the Flat Earth Society website.
Mm-hmm.
The explanation for gravity that things come down was that the Earth moves up at a certain miles per hour. What is the definition of up?
Elevating.
It's away from a gravitational pull.
Okay.
Their definition of up was, or they didn't give a definition of up. We have gravity because the Earth moves up. Now let me explain that by the definition. We have gravity because the Earth moves up from a gravitational pull. It doesn't make any sense. Their definition of
I don't
why
think they
things,
figured out that yet though, because of gravity always being a theory.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's like
It is.
you know, just like what we're discussing right now, it's still a theory.
It's the greater the mass, the greater the attraction.
Yeah.
General relativity. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that's
Yeah,
what it is.
but I don't know.
It doesn't work in the quantum field. That's the thing. It doesn't work in the quantum field. So you have the quantum field, which is provable, and you have general relativity, which is provable. But then when you put them both together, they don't work together. So I question science a lot because of there's a lot of it's treated almost like a religion. You have a lot of people that will stand by theories.
And
like,
to me as well, it's
will.
like science is kind of like I believe what I see.
yeah,
And belief to me, like you can believe on something really really hard and it will happen. Like to me, that that's a thing.
Yes.
Like you can believe and perceive something so hard that it will happen. You know what I mean? So I believe when I see it is not a thing. And like say space and all that is being just put in our faces since we're little kids. You know, so
yeah.
and then you go to school, and then now you've seen pictures.
But you see stars and the natural.
Yeah,
the
the
stars.
stars.
But a lot of
space.
it looks like frequencies, like
It's just an
like
illusion.
like say I have a telescope. I actually bought it. The Habitat for Humanity ended up being a faulty one, so I was able to actually look for myself. But like once I do, have that, or am able to buy a good one, I am going to.
Then you'll bring it over here.
I'm trying to look at something.
We'll look at the shit.
I'm trying to look at something.
I'm trying to look at something. I'm trying to look at
like
something.
you say, you went
what I
in
mean?
to see for yourself. Like I want to see for myself. Like if I could travel beyond Antarctica, it'd be very risky. That'd be a crazy choice that I make because, like, say you may not come back or something. You don't know what's beyond there.
Yeah,
I would weigh my options, but I would definitely be interested.
I would believe the hollow Earth theory before I would the flat Earth theory. Have you listened? Have you read the book Phantom of the Poles?
No, I watched Inside Job.
A guy had he was Admiral Byrd. He had went through he was traveling and he had went through I guess I don't know if he was going toward the North Pole or not, but he claimed that he saw a bunch of things that aren't discovered yet, and then he came back like in species and beings, and I've
heard about that.
It's very interesting.
I've heard about that. I know exactly who you're talking about.
What's the name? I'm an audiobook guy. I'm not much of a reader.
Hold on one second.
The ones
My
I really
wife
like
called me, and I'm gonna message her and tell her that.
Okay, bro.
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay, bro. We can probably wrap this up right now. Actually,
we are gonna have a part 2.
Yeah, we're gonna have, we have a part 2.
Yeah, I would love to come back.
Let's see what we're on right now. Yeah, we're on an hour and 32 minutes right now.
All right.
Yeah, bro. We can come back later.
That sounds good.
Come back for the part 2.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. Let's get that thumbnail in here while we're here. Fuck yeah. We love the hell out of you. You got anything else that you wanted to say?
Loco. By the way, performing Casa Mexico next Friday. Karaoke.
You are.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna see.
What time?
Hell yes.
8 to 12.
Karaoke.
Karaoke, good, I guess
Like the one over here? Like the one that
family
Luis
dance vibes. I'm not sure. Like, Casa Mexico.
Okay.
Holy shit.
That's my favorite place to eat.
What day again?
I love it as
Friday?
Friday 8 to 12. And if y'all really hype it up, maybe we'll push it a little farther.
Hype that shit up. This is next Friday?
Next Friday.
Not this Friday?
No, this Friday.
I'm going to post this tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh, let me make a flyer first. I'll send it to you.
A flyer?
Yeah.
I bet.
I've been doing all my flyers, bro. Like, graphic design. That was my thing. But anyways, yeah.
Bet. You got anything else that you wanted to say, bro?
What does bet mean?
Bet.
I've seen you use it in text, and I'm like, what is? I'm not.
It's like bet, like
up to date with.
Like
this
I'm with
vernacular.
it, like cool. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah, like
okay.
bet that, like
to agree?
I will
Like-
put my money on it.
Like
No,
I believe
bet. It's
you.
like agree.
Like to
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's
It's
what
like
I
I agree.
That's what I was assuming, but I didn't.
Yeah,
wanna-
yeah, yeah. It's just a modern day slang,
I
brother.
got you. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yep, I've heard my kids say it, and I think one of them tried to explain it to me one time, but I have 4 kids, so it's hard to pay attention
Yeah.
to one and not the other 3.
Yeah, that's
What
a
are you
bet.
doing?
You know
what
I
was
mean?
you saying?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Nah, for real.
But
Well,
I
all right.
appreciate you coming.
We
by.
appreciate.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I
having
appreciate
him.
you having me. I appreciate you having me as well.
Yeah,
You having us.
Likewise.
And I love this. This is cool.
Yeah.
Anything else that you wanted to say, brother?
I don't have anything.
Anything
to say.
else that you wanted to say, brother?
2 words.
Goodbye.
Sophrosony. It's
Wait, what?
Sophrosony. It's a Greek word. And-
Sophrosony.
Yeah, I'll tell you what it means. And then entelechy. That means the realization of potential. The realization of potential.
You gotta text that to me.
Realize
I'm
your
a terrible
potential.
speller.
Sophrosony is basically having soundness of mind.
Okay, yeah.
Sound your mind. Yeah, let's get out of here before they get on to us. We love the fuck out of you. Peace.